Hello everyone, in few minutes we will start our MACD CSM weekly review. I hope for all the users who are using my MACD CSM, you can join our webinar which is on our Telegram group. And so you can ask questions and be interactive. We can be interactive with each other. So I can answer your questions why this week is still positive, because I know there are some users who got negative trades this week. But however, the technique they are using is somehow the same as mine, but there are strategies or techniques that they are using a bit different. But however, it's fine because I know there are weeks that they are positive on that. But what I'm only teaching is the basic strategy for our MACD CSM. That's why it's very important and that's the reason we are positive this week. In few minutes, we will start. I will start at exactly 6 a.m. at London time, so you guys can wait just maybe just around a minute. For all the viewers on our Facebook, you can join our Telegram group. It is on the description link of this live video. And as usual, this webinar is recorded. So you guys can rewatch it on my YouTube channel or here on my Facebook page. I hope you guys have a great weekend, because there are some couple of trades that are very exciting for this week. Even though we are not that uh, we are still positive this week, but not as much as usual. I think we are only around positive 300 pips for this week. So I guess that's it. I'll start the webinar, and I hope some of the members can join us on Telegram soon. One moment, I'll just check my Zoom meeting. How should I check it? One moment, everyone. For all our viewers on for all our viewers on Facebook, if you have any questions and not on our webinar, you can just simply comment your questions on our live video, and I'll try to answer as much as I can. So that's it. We can start now since it's already past 6 a.m. So as of now, we will be discussing about AUD CAD again up to the USD JPY. These are all the 28 major and minor pairs of foreign exchange, and these are the only pairs that we are using for our MACD CSM indicator. So as of now, for now, I will start at AUD CAD. So let's start with D1 time frame of AUD CAD. One moment, let me remove some objects here just to clear my chart. So as we can see, the general trend for AUD CAD is sell. It was a sell here, and the general trend started for on D1 was like few days ago. This was around Friday last week, I guess. So on H4, as we can see, it became buy just few hours before the market closed. So if you would check it, it was sell from the start of the week until around here before the buy arrow come out. So let's check H1 if there are some sells. So we are only looking for a sell signal for AUD CAD. Actually, there is no trade this week, but as far as I remember, we have a trade since last week for AUD CAD, and our TP on this part wasn't hit yet. So let me uh, put the Fibonacci level. This was the sell. So we will count 2 days backwards from here up to here. And this is the, as we can see, this is the support from here, and this is the resistance. And as we can see, there is an entry around this time, around this part, and our TP was hit around here, around Monday, last week. So our TP with the AUD CAD was around 94 or 93 pips. So let me write it so you guys would remember our AUD CAD. This was the trade since last week. This was 90. What is it again? Let me check it for everyone. These are around 93 pips. So let's write 93 pips positive for AUD CAD since it was taken last week around March 11. So let's continue with AUD CHF. One moment. So for AUD CHF, the general trend for AUD CHF was a buy around November, and it's still buy until now. So for H4, this was a buy around here, around this point, and it was also buy from this around Monday, and it's up around Tuesday or before Tuesday. So yeah, as we can see, there are some on H1 time frame, there are some buys, and the last buy that we got was last Friday, because there's a buy last Friday. And so let me remove this again. We will plot our Fibonacci 2 days backwards. So since this is Friday, we will start at Wednesday. So this is the resistance up to Wednesday, and this is the support. As we can see, it was hit. Our buy limit was hit at 50 Fibonacci. So as of now, it's still not closed, and we are just positive, around positive 2 or 3 pips for AUD CHF. Next one is AUD JPY. So AUD JPY is a bit complicated. So let's check D1. D1 time frame is buy since November 2. So this means that we will be only checking buy signals for AUD JPY. So buy was since last week on H4 time frame, and let's check H1. H1 was positive around Monday, and there's a buy signal around Wednesday too. So let's try checking Monday. For Monday, this is how you check it. Since this is Monday, we will count 2 days backwards again. So it's going to be Thursday and Friday for our Fibonacci level. Fibonacci level wasn't hit actually. So it was around here. But this was a sell already. So this is not a valid entry. And the next one was around AUD JPY here. Since there was a buy around this time, we will count 2 days backwards. So it's going to be around here. So unfortunately, there is no valid entry anymore since the AUD JPY hit our 100 Fibonacci here, and this is not a valid entry anymore. So, but one moment, I guess there's I have to check something again on AUD JPY. Oh yeah. One moment again. Actually, this is what I'm wondering, because I know there is an entry at AUD JPY. Because around this part, there is a buy at AUD JPY, and our 50 Fibonacci was hit around here. Even though it's almost near our 0 Fibonacci, it's still a valid entry. And yes, it's a TP around AUD JPY, around 33 pips for AUD JPY. So let's write AUD JPY. Last 33 pips. So AUD CHF is just an open trade. Let's now check AUD NZD. The general trend for AUD NZD was a buy since around February, midweek of February. Then let's go to AUD NZD. Uh, AUD NZD, there was a on H4, it was also a buy around this point. So let's put around here and here. Yeah, there it goes. Then there was a buy from this day until this day onward. Because as you can see, this is quite complicated because there was a sell on AUD NZD, then suddenly it became a buy the next four at the 4 hour time frame. So there was a this gap at least for 4 hours on AUD NZD. It was a sell. So let's go on H1. This means we will be only checking H. This means that we will only looking for buy signals. So on H1 time frame, as we can see, there are couples of buy here, and we will ignore all the sell signals. And since there was a buy around March 16, we will count 2 days backwards again. So it's gonna be here and here. So around March 12, March 13, March 15, I mean. So it's our 50 Fibonacci would be like this. Let me remove this just to clean our chart. So since this is a buy, we will count again 2 days backward. This was around Tuesday, so this is Monday, and this is Friday. The resistance on Friday and the support last Monday. So as we can see, this one is a below our 50 Fibonacci, and it's a entry already. No need to make a buy limit, and our TP was hit by 40, yeah, around 43 pips. So let's try it. 43 pips for AUD/NZD. That's 43 pips. Next one is AUD/USD. Let me clean the chart again. I'm sorry for having so much stuff here because there are times that I analyze these too. So let's go on D1 time frame. As we can see, we are only looking for buy signals for AUD/USD. So because there is the signals where it came from. So it was this was only around to make it precisely, this was Friday, this was Thursday. So this means that the signal at around Tuesday and Friday is a buy. So let me put a rectangle here. Even though there is a buy around Wednesday, this is not a considered buy yet because the candle didn't close around this time yet, and we should still need to wait for it to close. Then there was a buy and sell and a buy. This was around Monday. So what we are only considering is the buy around Tuesday. So this is Tuesday, then Thursday and Friday. This is a bit complicated to check, but I hope you guys would understand it. On H1, so let's plot it back. Since this is Tuesday, it's gonna be from this period separator up to here. It's one period separator. So let's go to H4 again. Now the H4, as you can see, there is a buy around here. It was after the candle close, it was a buy already on H4 time frame. So it was only valid around here. One moment. Again, and this was a buy to around here at this point. So at H1 there was a buy around Tuesday actually, because H4 and H1 and D1 have the buy signals. The three time frames have a same market direction, so we would plot our we would plot our Fibonacci here from here up to here. So let me remove our some objects just to clear our chart. Okay, so since this is a buy around Tuesday, we would plot it like this. And as we can see, the 50 Fibonacci, this is the 50 Fibonacci, this line, and the buy signal is below 50 Fibonacci, so there is no need to wait or to make a buy limit. It's a buy order already, so the TP would be around our 100 Fibonacci, and it's a TP. So our take profit for this point is around 48 pips for AUD/USD. Let me write it again. AUD/USD. We are plus 48 pips. So the next one is CAD CHF. Let's see CAD CHF. The general trend for CAD CHF is a buy. On H4, as we can see, it was a buy for since the second week of February. And on H1, we will be only checking the buy signals and ignore all the sell signals on H1. So as we can see, there's a buy here. Now let's put our Fibonacci from this point 2 days backward to here. Here it goes. And as we can see, the next day, actually, this is not hit yet because of the spread, but it's hit around here already because this is the market open, the opening of the market. And around this time, the 50 Fibonacci was hit, but unfortunately, our 100 Fibonacci is not actually hit. So we can still wait for this. And if you're holding your trade, we are just around 7 pips positive. However, since as we can see that it's around 50 pips already around this point, you can already exit around at least save 20 pips, as I always say. At least save 20 pips from here, or at least save 30 pips from here, so you would still be positive. Because actually, this is considered the exit already. One of the techniques, this is the first time I would discuss about it, I use is check the highest candle, right? This is the highest candle, this is the wick. And this for me is a valid exit already, since it's as you can see, this is the body, the highest price. It's either the open body or the closing candle, or the body of the candle. It means a valid exit already, and we will plot it like this from here. And as we can see, it's already hit. Even though RTP is here, it's already hit. So for me, it's already a valid exit, and you can start trailing here and save at least 20 pips of your take profit. So because from 50 Fibonacci, from this point up to here, it's around 46 already. And if you would have, we would have a trailing stop of 20 pips or 30 pips, you should uh, at least be positive around 10 to 20 pips on this point. So just to be conservative, maybe let's put 10 pips only for CAD CHF. At least we are still positive for CAD CHF. Maybe just plus 10 pips would be fine, as long as we are positive. Now let's check CAD JPY. On D1 time frame, the general trend is buy since November. It was a buy signal too around last week or last day of January, but this coming week, CAD JPY is changing to a sell. So we still need this coming week we need to wait. But for last week, there's the buy signal is still valid. So let's check CAD JPY. So if this is the buy, we would count 2 days backwards again from the resistance to support around this point. And as we can see, let me zoom it so you guys would see it properly. As we can see, the 50 Fibonacci is around this point, and the closing candle for CAD JPY is around this point. So it's not a valid entry already for CAD JPY. This means there is no valid entry for CAD JPY, no trade for CAD JPY. Next one is CHF JPY. One moment again, let me check our webinar. Now let's go for CHF JPY. The general trend for CHF JPY is a buy. This is the buy since what day was this? This is last week, March 11, and H4. The trend was a buy, like for the first few days of last week. So let's put a rectangle here. This is all the buy signals around CHF JPY. Now let's go to H1 time frame. This means that we would be only looking for buy signals for CHF JPY. One moment again. Let's do it like this. See it properly. As we can see, there is a buy signal around this point at CHF JPY. Now let me remove this one, And let's plot the Fibonacci level. As usual, we will count 2 days backwards from this point to here. And as we can see, uh, the TP was hit already. So there is no valid entry for CHF anymore. So let's go now for EUR AUD. And as of now, we are 5 positives for ADCAD, ADJPY, NZD, USD, and CAD CHF. Now let's go to EUR AUD. The general trend for EUR AUD was sell since around October. It ranged almost 850 pips now. Anyway, for H4 time frame, as we can see, since last week it was a sell. So this means that we would only be checking the sell signals for EUR AUD. As we can see, this was around Monday. There was a sell. So let's try to plot it. It's gonna be like this from support 2 days ago from here up to here. And this is the 50 Fibonacci, as we can see. This is the 50 Fibonacci, and it reversed here actually, so our sell limit would be cancelled and there won't be trade as of March 16th. But the next few hours it was hit again, there was a sell signal again, so our Fibonacci level would be changed from that to this one. And as we can see, our TP was hit around this part at EUR AUD. So this entry is not valid anymore. Now let's go to the last sell around the closing of March 17. So 2 days backwards again from here up to here. And as we can see, it hit the TP already. So there is no valid entry again for EUR AUD. Next one is EUR. Oh wait, one moment. EUR AUD. Because as far as I remember, there was this trade on EUR AUD. One moment, everyone. I have to look for it. This is the resistance here, and this is the support around this point. Oh yeah, I got it. I missed it around here up to here. Yeah, I missed this one. This is a sell because around March 15 Monday. Yeah, this is what I missed. Around here it was a sell because there was a sell here, and before the candle of a buy, before a buy signal came out, our sell limit at 50 is hit already. Our 50 Fibonacci is at this point, around this point. So this means that we have a sell already. And if we have a sell and our TP is at 100 Fibonacci, we are positive 52 pips. So let me write first the EUR AUD with the positive 52 pips. However, I saw on the Telegram group that there are some users who are negative here because of the zero Fibonacci level. Very often, but not all of the time, maybe just 5% of the time or 10%, or no, maybe just 5% of the time I use a EUR AUD. I mean zero Fibonacci as my exit because I still check the H4 time frame because I know there are some users on our group who's doing the zero Fibonacci as our hard SL or our hard stop loss, but I don't use that often. I know there was only once I used it this week, the GBP CAD. Later I will discuss about it, why I made a hard stop loss on GBP CAD. But on EUR AUD, for me, having a hard stop loss on EUR AUD is not valid since our H4 time frame is still strong. And as we can see, there was no changes or there was no signal on EUR AUD. And as we can see, here is EUR AUD. EUR is negative on D1 time frame, and AUD is still positive on D1 time frame. This means that the general trend on EUR AUD is still really strong for a sell. That's why I would still hold my trade for EUR AUD. And that's why even if you would plot your Fibonacci at 0 Fibonacci here, there are a couple of times that you will be hit like this. And that's why it's not a valid stop loss for me. But as I always say on our group, it's up to you. It's your strategy. What I'm only teaching on our group is the basics that I always use. I don't know how much it would affect your trade if you change some few steps on it, but this is what I recommend. For example, for all the users, I would add or I would suggest a new strategy for you for all the users who are using the zero Fibonacci as a hard stop loss. At least have a allowance of 5 to 10 pips here, or maybe sometimes 15 pips allowance as for your stop loss, because there would be time that the market hit your would just hit the resistance level or your stop loss before it goes on before it hit our TP. That's how important our resistance level too, because there are times that it would just hit your stop loss, and as we all know, a lot of users or a lot of traders are using those kind of techniques. And if a lot of users are doing those kind of techniques, and if you're one of them, of course you are at the 90% or 95% who are losing. And for us to avoid that, at least have an allowance of 10 pips above the stop loss. For GBP pairs, I use at least 15 pips. But if it's at GBP for slow moving pairs, I would only use around 10 pips as an allowance. So you would not at least be hit of this kind of trades, for example, on EUR, AUD. Because there are, or as far as I remember, most of the trades would just be hit like that, especially on this case. Because if you have a hard SL here, you won't make this kind of profit for EUR AUD, like around 51 pips. So instead of making this profit, you would lose around 50 pips instead of making a profit of 50 pips. Because as we can see, it's just after a few hours your SL was hit. Like after 3 hours, it was TP already. Or no, it's just the next hour. The next hour it was a TP already for EUR AUD. Anyway, that's the reason why I don't usually use a hard stop loss very often. Later on GBP CAD, I will discuss why I have a hard stop loss on GBP CAD. Anyway, let's go on EUR CAD for now. Uh, the general trend for D1 time frame. One moment. Let me clean my chart again. For EUR CAD, the general trend was sell. As we can see, it was sell it was sell since January. This is the last sell signal for EUR CAD, and it ranged around 600 pips already since day one, since D1. So on H4, it was still a sell for 3 weeks now. So it means that we will be only checking sell signals for EUR CAD. As we can see, the only sell signal for EUR CAD is around Tuesday. And for us to check it properly, we will put the Fibonacci level. Since this is Thursday, we would start at Tuesday, 2 days backwards. Oh, I'm so sorry. I put it the wrong way. It's going to be like this. And as we can see, this is the 50 Fibonacci. Even though, as we can see, it was a hit this point. But for me, it's not a valid entry anymore. If you guys remember, I always say, if our 100 Fibonacci or our TP was hit, it's not a valid entry anymore. But just to be conservative, I'll be adding this one. Just to be conservative, I already did this on another pair before. Let's check the body of the highest body, or the highest closing, or the highest open price of a candle. So this part is gonna be the lowest of body, or the lowest closing for EUR CAD. It's not gonna be the wick, it's the body of the candle. And as we can see, it's almost hit the TP. And for me, this is not a consider that you can disregard this trade already, because it's like a TP hit. It's like our the price is very near our support level anymore, and you can disregard this trade actually, since it's very near our support level or the body of the candle. If you would trade conservatively, you can just simply ignore this EUR CAD trade uh, already. But if you guys, because if you guys manage to enter, actually, uh, you would have around negative 40 pips floating as of now. And if you guys are actually holding this trade, EUR CAD, for me, it's still a valid trade and you can still hold this trade. But if ever this kind of stuff happen, at least have a 10 pips profit. If you guys still holding this trade up to next week, at least hold it and target only 10 pips profit, because it already hit the TP for me. Even though it's just like this, it's not considered the sell signal anymore. But it's still valid to hold because the CAD on the general trend is still very, very strong. And even though EUR is negative, CAD is the one that's really moving the market right now, especially this week, because CAD is really, really strong. And if you have a sell signal on EUR CAD, it's still valid to hold your trades. So let's go to the next one. Uh, EURCHF. The general trend for EURCHF is a buy, and for H4 it was a sell. So this means that H4 and D1 have different signals. There is no valid entry for EURCHF. Now let's go to EURGBP. I know there are some users again who are hit on EURGBP. They are holding their trades since last week. That's how why it's important to hold your trades. But actually, if you hold your trade, you are still positive. You, instead of having a loss, you would be positive on EURGBP. But I'm trying to check it before. But let's try it, because there was a sell around this point on EURGBP. The whole last week it was only sell, because this week there is no trade on EURGBP. This was the trade since last week around this point. For example, it's gonna be like this around here. No, I put it the wrong way. Yes, around here. So maybe around 50 Fibonacci here, but there are times that you really have to hold your trade. So you have to hold your trade for 75 pips. For me, 75 pips is not too much, and you can just simply hold your trades like that. And yeah, your positive 15, is it like that? Or maybe around here. If it's gonna be like this one, from this cell, from here, this point, up to this point. So the 50 Fibonacci was hit around this point, as we can see, and it's still a TP. If you guys saw this trade on EURGBP, our 50 Fibonacci was hit around this point, and so it's a TP of 42. Oh, yeah, around. Oh, wait, one moment. It was actually hit at this point, so it's not considered. So it's gonna be from this point. Yeah, from this point. I can't see the EURGBP trade anymore. But it's somehow, if you hold your trade on EURGBP, you can still be positive, because as we can see, the general trend on EURGBP is still a sell. But for now, for this coming week, let's only wait for a sell signal on H1 time frame soon. For me, as of now, we still need some more movements on EURGBP before entering this pair again. Now let's go to EURJPY. D1 time frame is buy on EURJPY. The H4 time frame, the general trend actually changed last Friday, but it was but general trend on H4 was buy for the first few days of last week. And as we can see, there are buy here and a buy here. Now let's analyze EURJPY. If you would check this trade last Tuesday, our Fibonacci level would be like this, from this point up to this point. That's the 50 Fibonacci, and it was actually hit around this point. So one moment. The general trend is a buy for EURJPY. So our 50 Fibonacci is here, and it was actually hit. And if you have a hard SL, again as usual, uh, on 0 Fibonacci, it's a lost already. But actually, if you would check your H4 time frame, around that time there was no sell yet on H4 time frame, and it's still a valid trade, or you can still hold your trade on EURJPY, and that's why your TP was hit around this point, because our usual strategy is on H4 time frame exit, not on 0 Fibonacci. So you are positive 34 pips at EURJPY. EURJPY. Let's try it. EURJPY. EURJPY plus 34. Am I right? One moment. Around plus 34 pips. Now let's go to EURNZD. I know EURNZD gave us a good profits this week. So D1 time frame on EURNZD is a sell since around October. What day was this? Around October 27, and it was ranging for more than 1,000. It trends for more than 1,000 pips now. So we would only be checking for sell signals on H4, and as we can see, it was a sell from this point around this point. Let's move one candle. Now let's go to H1. Yeah, H1. As we can see, there was a sell signal at H1, but if you would count, it's 1, 2, 3, and the fourth. After the next candle, actually, there was a sell signal already at this point. So we can still enter a sell signal here. And since this is that day, this was a March 15, this was Monday, we can still plot our Fibonacci 2 days backward from, one moment, I put it the wrong way again. From this point, this is the support, and this is the resistance level. And as we can see, even because H4 is already valid, it is our 50 Fibonacci is here around this point. This is the 50 Fibonacci. So this is going to be our entry level. And as usual, our TP is the 100 Fibonacci. And our TP on EURNZD was hit around Thursday. So our total take profit for EURNZD is around 78 pips. So EURNZD is really good. EURNZD around, what is it again? 78 pips. Now let's go to EURUSD. EURUSD. One moment. D1 time frame. The general trend for EURUSD is sell since around January. On H4, there was a couple of sell signals. So it's from this point up to here, and from this point up to here. Now let's analyze EURUSD on H1 time frame. This means that we would only be checking sell signals for EURUSD. So as we can see, there is the sell signal here, and we would plot our Fibonacci from this day to this day. Since was March 16, this was Tuesday, this was Monday, and this was Friday. And our Fibonacci level again is 2 days backwards. It's here, and as we can see, there was a sell around this point. Our TP was hit around this point, so it's not a valid sell limit anymore. And now let's go to the next part around this point, EURUSD. So let's plot it. Oh no, I put it the wrong way. It's from here to here. This is a very interesting entry level. Entry trade. Because as we can see, there was a sell here, but at the H4 it became sell already too. So as we can see, our 50 Fibonacci was hit uh, around this point. It's not gonna be here because H4 is still because at that time H4 was still at buy signal, but after a few hours again it was hit around this point. Our 50 Fibonacci was hit at this candle, so it's a valid sell entry already, and our TP is at 100 Fibonacci. So if you guys saw this one, it's a good trade too for EURUSD, and it was last Friday, and our take profit is around 53 pips for EURUSD. So let me take note of it again. EURUSD plus, oh, one moment, this was positive. EURUSD is plus 53 pips too. As we can see, most of it are still positive and we don't have any loss yet, but on the upcoming pairs, we would have a couple of losses. Because as I always saying, our indicator is not 100, won't give you 100% win rate. There's no such indicator as 100% win rate. We would always have some losses. And I have some losses this week too. But it's just the way we're discussing from this point to this point to GBP AUD, we are still positive. But later we will have some losses. Next one is on D1 time frame. On GBP AUD, D1 time frame, the general trend is buy. Now on H4, it was sell since last week. So for this whole week, it was sell and it was a buy on H4. H4 and D1 have different signals, so there is no valid entry for GBP AUD. Now GBP CAD. This is interesting. Why I said that we have I have a hard stop loss on GBP CAD. Anyway, let's check GBP CAD first. As we can see, there was a sell on GBP CAD around this point. It was started around Wednesday. It's not Tuesday actually. It's around Wednesday after the candle closed. So H4 was a sell the whole time for last week, and H1 there was a sell that came out, and this is the sell that came out around the GBP CAD. So we would plot it 2 days backwards again from this point to this point. As I can see, this is a really good setup for me. But one moment, let me remove it. But it actually became a loss, and it's fine. It's part of trading because as we can see, the entry level or the closing candle for GBP CAD at first is is below 50 Fibonacci, and it's really a good setup. But I'm a bit hesitant on this one. That's why I rarely put actually hard SL, but at this point I put a SL on GBP CAD, given or even there is no buy signal on GBP CAD yet, because on D1 time frame I know, and you have to be aware of it, that the CAD is actually really strong. Uh, the D1 time frame, the CAD took over the D1 time frame. It's the highest. It's the highest, or it's the strongest currency for now, the CAD. But if you would remember our past webinars, GBP is the one that's strongest, and we know that GBP is strong for such a long time now. As we can see, this is the D1 time frame, right? And it was like very strong since around January, and it's almost 3 months now that GBP, or more than 3 months, should I say, that GBP is really strong. So it means for me, I know that GBP is very strong, or is still strong, and CAD is a lot stronger now. But for me, they are on the same side. They are both strong. This means both of them are should be at buy levels. But however, of course, there is a cross that happened I just put a hard SL here because I know how crazy GBP pairs could be, and I know that GBP is still strong, and there might, or it might be possible that GBP might take over CAD again or whatsoever. But the general trend for GBP I know is still a buy. That's why I'm still hesitant that GBP might take over GBP CAD uh, pair, and it will become a buy soon. That's why even though there is no signal on H4 time frame as a buy, I put a hard SL here because one thing to remember, we all know that GBP pairs are really crazy pairs, and they move so fast, they trend so big, and they can burn your accounts, or they could give you big losses. And especially knowing that GBP, it's like I'm taking a trade of a sell when I know that GBP is really strong. But even though I saw that this is a good setup for me, uh, I took it even though it's against GBP on D1 time frame. Because of that, I'll just put a hard stop loss for GBP CAD. Actually, if you would remember, I would at least not put my SL here, but 15 pips above. So it's gonna be around here. So I see that. So that's 10. No, but if I would check it, I would just I would just be around here. Yeah, maybe around here. Anyway, if we would compute our loss, it's gonna be from this point to this point. So yeah, more or less around 70 pips. Let's put 70 pips here as a loss on GBP CAD. So let's put 70 pips loss on GBP CAD. Then it's fine. It's part of trading to have this kind of losses. Now let's go to GBP CHF. And one moment again. And even though we have lost here, should I check it again? Because there was a sell signal that came out again. Uh, yeah, okay. So as of now, there is another sell signal that came out on GBP CAD last Friday. So even though we have a loss here, there could be a possible order on GBP CAD soon. So this is a Friday. We would plot it until up to here. So as we can see, there was a our 50 Fibonacci was hit around this point, around here. The next candle, the after the sell signal closed. So our sell limit is here, and it was hit by this candle. So as of now, we have an open trade on GBP CAD of 15 pips. And if you would ask me, uh, right now I'm still hesitant because this was my first loss on GBP CAD. But just to be safe, it would be good if you would have a 15 pips above the stop loss here. But as of now, I didn't put a stop loss. If as far as I remember, I just exit on a different strategy on GBP CAD because I think this time it's good and I can manage it. Unlike this one, because this one is very low on this price, but at least this one it retraced already, and it's a good entry for a sell again. Anyway, the next one is GBP CHF. V1 time frame. The general trend for GBP CHF is a buy, and on H4 it was a buy only this point from this candle. So on H1, let's check H1. There was no buy on H1 time frame actually, but if you would check it, there was a buy here, but H4 is not buy yet. So if you would base your entry on H4, however, you could plot it like this. So it's gonna be 2 days. It's gonna be from this point now because this is H4, and your 50 Fibonacci. But however, no. Yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah. Because for me, your body again would be around here, and it's very near. The It's just like, yeah, 5 pips around the TP or the body of the highest candle, and it's considered TP already. So the next one is, let's just wait for a buy signal on H1 time frame soon on GBP CHF because it's giving us around a good strategy already for GBP CHF, or a good setup. Now let's go for GBP JPY. Did I miss something? One moment. Now, yeah. Now let's go to GBP JPY. The general trend for GBP JPY is a buy since November, and it trend already by more than 1000 pips, 1100 pips. Now on H4 time frame, the buy signal is from this point up to this point. Now let's go on H1 time frame, and as we can see, it's positive, or there's a buy signal around on GBP JPY around Wednesday. So we would plot it starting from Monday and Tuesday from this point. And as we can see, this is the 50 Fibonacci again. One moment, this is the 50 Fibonacci. Let me remove this rectangle now so it will be clear. Even though there's a buy signal, it's above 50 Fibonacci, but it was a hit around this point. So if we would check it, it's a valid entry. So it was a buy for 67 pips on GBP JPY. So let's put GBP JPY at plus 67 pips. This is why I'm talking about GBP CAD to have a hard SL, because most of the GBP pairs I know, for example GBP JPY, it's a buy, but I'm taking a sell on GBP CAD, and it's like I have a contradicting trends or contradicting trades, where I took a sell on GBP CAD and I took a buy on GBP JPY, because I know CAD is very strong. It's stronger than GBP, but still I'm taking GBP pairs as a buy, and that's why you have to be aware of that, you know that GBP is a buy signal, but since GBP CAD is giving you those kind of signals, uh, there are times that you would actually hesitate. But for me, it's fine. It's part of trading, and if you guys don't feel comfortable about it, you can just disregard it. Those kind of trades. Just take the safer trades. Now let's go for on GBP NZD. One moment, let me check our live if I've got some questions, or not as much. Just take the safe. Okay, it's fine. Now let's go to this one. Okay, now let's go to GBP NZD. The general trend on GBP NZD is a buy. On H4, it was buy around this point from here to here. On H1, there was a buy signal around this point, but as we can see, it already hit the resistance level here, so there is no more valid entry for GBP NZD. Next one is one moment, GBP USD. Let's check GBP USD. The D1 time frame, it's a buy. The general trend for GBP USD was a buy for 800 pips or 1100 pips by now. On H4 time frame, let's check H4 time frame. There was a buy around this point, around here. I know this was a loss if I remember. Okay, there was a buy around this point. Yeah, that's right. So let's plot it. Our Fibonacci level would be 2 days backwards again, from this point up to this point. Okay, so if we would let's now check H4 time frame actually, because as we can see, there is no valid exit on H4 time frame yet. But once the market open on Monday, you should already exit your GBP USD. So this would be a loss on Monday, because actually it already hit our 0 Fibonacci here, and on H4 it's gonna be sell soon. So it reversed on H4 time frame, and H4 time frame is our exit. So this could be a loss already, which could be around 50 Fibonacci, and let's say around this point, around 60 pips. So we are negative 60 pips around. One moment. This is GBP USD. Around negative 60 pips on GBP USD. But actually, if you don't wanna wait for it, you can actually already close it before the market before the market closed last Friday, because you can already see that there is a sell arrow on GBP USD around that time. So it's negative or another loss for us on GBP USD. Now on NZD CAD, let's check NZD CAD. The general trend for NZD CAD was sell around this point. Now on H4, as we can see, it was sell since for 3 weeks now. And now let's check H1 time frame. It was a sell around this point actually. One moment, let me delete it. So we would only be checking sell signals on NZD CAD. This was a sell, so we would plot our Fibonacci 2 days backwards from this point up to this point. So this was 2 days backwards. Oh, I plotted the wrong way again. One moment. It's gonna be like this from here up to here. And as we can see, 50 Fibonacci is around this level, and it was not hit, but it already hit our TP here, so there is no valid entry for NZD CAD. The next moment was another sell around Thursday. If you would analyze it, our Fibonacci level would be like this. 2 days backwards again, and our 50 Fibonacci was actually hit around this point. But if you would check the body, it's gonna be like this. It's very near again the TP, so it's considered TP already, and you should cancel your sell limit already, even though you can see that it was hit here and you are kind of positive here. If based on my strategy, you should cancel your NZD CAD already. But if your sell limit was hit, you can just close it on Monday, the NZD CAD with a 10 pips profit around the time. If you guys would close your trade on Monday, at least wait for 2 hours, an hour to 2 hours before the spread would become normal. Because around Monday, especially Monday, the spread is already big, and you would always need to pay for it. But just wait for at least an hour or 2 hours, and the spread will come back to normal. So you would at least make more money or make more profit. I mean. So let's check on NZD-CHF now. General trend on NZD-CHF was a buy since October last year, and the only time it was buy was at this point on H4, and it was sell the whole time. So actually there is no trade on NZD-CHF. Now let's go to NZD-JPY. On D1 time frame, NZD-JPY, the general trend was a buy since November. On H4 time frame, it was buy only from this point up to here. I already put a rectangle on it. So on H1 time frame, this was a buy. So let's check if we would analyze it. Around this was March 15. This was Monday, few hours after the market opened, and we would plot our Fibonacci like this. Actually, if you would check our TP or 100 Fibonacci was hit already, so it's not a valid buy limit anymore. This is not a valid signal anymore. And the next one is here too. There was a buy, but it's very high already, and it's not a valid trade anymore. For now, NZJPY it's a sell on H1 time frame and on H4 time frame. So for now, let's wait. How would the market move on NZJPY? So there is no trade for NZDJPY. Now let's go next to NZD/USD. The general trend for NZD/USD was sell. It was only last week, started on D1 time frame. Now it means that we would only be checking sell signals on NZD/USD. So this is valid from here and here. Now let's check H1 time frame. So as we can see, there was no sell, and if ever that there is a sell, it already hit the TP. So there is no valid entry for NZD/USD. Yeah, there is no valid entry for NZD/USD for this week. And now USD CAD. I know there is no trade on NZD CAD too, but let's still check it. The general trend is sell for D1 time frame. Now let's go to H4 time frame. It was a sell 2 on H1. Let's check it. This is the only sell signal on H1 time frame. And if you would plot it, it's already the the support level. So this means there is no it's not valid entry for USD CAD. On USD CHF, general trend on USD CHF is, as we can see, is buy. On H4 it was a buy, but most of the time it was a sell this week on H4 time frame. So actually there is, if you would analyze this one, there is no valid entry on USD CHF2. As we can see, there is no buy here and there is no buy here. So there is no valid entry for USD CHF2. And lastly, USD JPY. And I know this is the last loss. This is a loss too on USD JPY. So D1 time frame, the general trend is a buy. Even it looks like that on smaller time frame, I know it's a loss. And on H4, this is the buy from this point up to here. Now let's check H1. There is a buy at this point. So let's plot our Fibonacci. Let me clean our chart. Oh, why did I go to M1 time frame? Let me clean our chart. Oh. So this is a buy, so we would count 2 days backwards. It's gonna be like this. And as we can see, our Fibonacci level was hit at 50 Fibonacci around this point, but our TP is not hit. And there was a sell signal at H4 time frame already. And as we can see, it's below the Fibonacci level. So this means it's a valid exit already at this point at 108.647. So it's actually a loss. And if we would check it, our entry is around 50 Fibonacci level from here. So we are negative 42 pips for USD JPY. So USD JPY, we are negative 42 pips. And this are the overall trades for us on MACD CSM for this week. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 trades. So 13 trades. Let me write it. 10 are positive. 3 are negative. So it's part of trading, as I always say. Let me count our when it comes to number of pips. Let me, one moment. Let's open the calculator again. So there it goes. Let's check first the positive. AUD CAD is 93 plus 33 plus 43 plus 48 plus 10 plus 52 plus 34 plus 78 plus 53. The negative is 70 or plus 67. So equals, where is the, oh, one moment, I did it the wrong way again. So let's do it again. 93 plus 33 plus 43 plus 48 plus 10 plus 52 plus 34 plus 78 plus 53 plus 67. So overall, our positive trades is 511. So this is 511 pips. But our negative trades is let's check it. Our negative trades is GBP CAD, GBP USD, and USD JPY. So it's 70 plus 60 plus 42. So we have plus 511 and negative 172 pips. So if we would add it, it's gonna be like this: 511 minus 172. We are still positive 339 pips for this week. At least we are still positive. But if you would disregard the AUD CAD, since the trade was took last week, we are more or less around positive 200 pips only for this week. It's a slow week, but we are still positive. And the win rate is let's check our win rate for this week. It's 10 out of 13. So it's around 76% or 77% win rate. As I always say, there's no such thing as 100% win rate on foreign exchange. If you do that, it's very risky, or sometimes if you would see those kind of strategy, it only took one trade to for you to get burned. And we don't do those kind of strategy. We are not gambling, we are trading, and take it slowly. At least we are still positive for this week. And now let me discuss the overall trend for this week, how we analyze it. On H4 time frame, AUD is very strong now. Is strong actually. Same as JPY and CAD. GBP became negative, so it might became a bit weaker. NZD is still weak too, but as we can see, even though it's like this, the one that's actually moving right now are the D1 time frames. Let me show you the graphs on the CSM line. So these are the lines. Can you see how crazy CAD is? This is the CAD. It was really strong, though it may look weak last Friday, but since the around Monday to Thursday, CAD is really strong, and JPY is really weak. But because on D1 time frame, as we can see, this is what I'm saying. GBP is really strong for since January, as we can see. This was around January. It became very weak around December, but it went on a straight path of going up on GBP. It may become look weaker, or it may be weak soon, but and it might affect our trade soon on GBP. So it might become weak soon, or it might come back and become strong again. But as of now, CAD is one of the strongest or the strongest currency, and we would check more of CAD this week because since this is a D1 time frame and it's a monthly movement, for CAD might stay here for such a long time, and CAD may be really strong for the next coming uh, days or weeks. So CAD is our friend since last week actually, because CAD is really moving since last week if I remember. Then JPY is really still weak, and CHF and JPY are still weak. EUR is getting weak as well, but it's not as very weak. For me, it's for my. If you would ask me, this is a bit neutral. Just a bit weak, but very slow movement. The one that's getting neutral is NZD because it's at the middle. USD is have a surge of going up. So USD can become a strong soon, even on H4 as we can see. It passed the zero line already. CAD might just went slow or went a bit weaker for this week, but since D1 is telling that CAD is really strong for this coming week, I think CAD will become strong, will stay strong. So that's it for this week for our webinars. I hope you guys have picked up our webinar this week. This is a recorded webinar, so the replay of this can be watched on my YouTube channel or on my Facebook channel, on my Facebook or on my YouTube channel, and I hope this to you guys would stick on our strategy. On it's like what I'm always saying, just stick on our strategy. It's fine if you guys would use different kind of strategy and just find out more ways to use it, but as I'm always saying, this is the strategy that I'm using, and of course I'm the one who made the algorithm of MACD CSM, so I know how to use it. But of course, there's a lot of way. I believe there's a lot of way to use our MACD CSM. But what I'm only telling you is for me the easiest and more proper way to use our MACD CSM. I hope you guys would have a good week, and on our all our watchers on Facebook, you can join our Telegram group, or you can just PM me on how to use our MACD CSM. And for all our users, I hope you'll have a great week or great trades for this coming week. Have a good day, everyone.